go through the SQL database, and then I would point out the areas where the differences are. The first area where there are differences actually here. We actually have just these two variables that will be different. So here you have SQL client or SQL connection and SQL data adapter, right? So when we come here, this connection string would also be different. That is, we are going to use the connection string for SQL server. Apart from that, the rest of the code is the same, except here and here. So we have these three lines of code being different. Then when we come here, the rest of the code is the same. Here is the same. Here is the same. Here the same. The same. The same. The whole code is the same until we get to this part, right? Where the only difference would be the command builder, right? Instead of just SQL command builder, we have only DB command builder. That's the only difference. The rest of the code is the same, right? The other difference is this: the SQL command builder is the same. So that is basically where the changes are. So we'll try and just do some copy and paste at that side for you to see what exactly I'm talking about. Now, this is my SQL. This is my SQL database. So I created my SQL database here. So I have this one here, the same database that we created. So I have a person here. I can view data. So I have the same database that we have here. All right. So that's the same data we are going to use for this work. And the server I have here is local DB slash project V12. All right. Now, some of you would also have MSS SQL local DB, right? That's SQL Server 12.0. So depending on which one you want to use for your connection string. But usually the easiest way is to make sure you select the server. Once you select the server from the Server Explorer, then you can go to the Properties window and look for connection string. You should be able to find the connection string there. You can just copy it and go and paste it in the connection string section. So anyway, so we'll get there. We'll get there soon. So this time, this is the SQL section. Now remember, we are not going to repeat all the explanations of all the codes. We are going to basically try as much as possible to only tackle the parts that we are working with only SQL, or the parts that are different from Excel or Access databases. So for instance, if we go to the form load event that we were, so here we are going to actually import system.data.SQL client. SQL Okay, so this is what we would import if we are working with SQL databases. So once you import this, then you can easily go ahead and then declare those variables that we spoke about. So those variables are just the same as the previous ones, except that we would have, let's bring them from the other side to be easier for us to deal with. So we have these same variables that we had with access. So these are, you see that as soon as we bring them here, because we imported system.data.sql find, you see these two are the ones that have problems. So basically, as I pointed out, we just have to change them to an SQL connection. And then SQL data adapter. So these are just the two differences that will come in that area. Then, of course, when we come to the form load event where we need to actually connect to the data, right, we would also have some slight changes. For instance, let's just go and copy that side of the data. This here. When we bring it, you see this line of code will change, this line of code will change, and this line of code will change. That is all. There's only these three lines of code. So if we come here, we just paste it. So this line of code, this line of code, of course, this one is just because the items are not written. So here, as I said, I will advise that you go to the Explorer and then go and copy your connection string from there and just come and paste it here. Other than that, of course, if you already know your server name and then your server properties, then you won't have any challenges. But to be safe, it's always best to just do that. So I would come here and then find my server. So if you come here, that is the SQL server object server, right? Or SQL server object explorer, or you come to SQL, that's the SQL server explorer, right? If that is where you want to do it, you can come here and then you connect to your database, and then you also come here, right? You will see your connection string there. And then your connection string will contain the name of your database and all those things. Okay. So here I'm looking at the SQL Server Object Explorer. If you don't have it, you use the usual thing. Go to View, and then you find it in View somewhere. Yes, mine is here. So if you just click on it, you can see all your databases and everything, your server and everything there. So once you click on your server, you can go to your properties, and then you see the connection string there. But I always advise that you find the particular server that contains your database and select your database that you want to use, right? Then you should see all the servers. So here we will have the connection string. So you just copy that. Of course, it will come with so many parts that you usually will not use. So for instance, it came with a whole lot of things that, of course, the only area that you need is here, right? This is all what you need. You just need the data source, the name of the server, and then your initial catalog, which is your database name. So your database name is what? Contact DB, right? So that's your database name. Okay, so if you want, you can use So once you do that, then the next thing will be to use the SQL connection. And then you change this one to SQL data adapter. We have SQL, and we have con. Okay, so basically these are all the changes that you make here and here and here. So just these three codes, these are the only changes. So wherever you see OLEDB, you change to SQL connection, right? So if it is OLEDB data adapter, you change to SQL data adapter. The whole principle is the same. All right. So once you make these changes, for the others, it's all the same for the rest. You see that if I copy all these from here downwards, if I copy all, right, and I just paste it, every one of the codes will be the same. Right, every single one of these codes. So let's go through them one by one. So if I want the navigate records, I just copy navigate records, and then I go and put it here. Navigate records. You see, there won't be any single underline because the code is the same throughout. There's no platform specific code. It's all raw code. Then you come to copy disable controls. Once you bring this here, you see that the code is the same. There's no change, right? Then you come here to enable control. Enable controls is also neutral code, no change, right? So the only, when you come to what? The clear record. Clear record is also the same code, no change. All right. Then you come to first. So the BTM first is also the same, no change. So if you come here, double click on first, you put it here, no change. Right? Then you go to BTM previous. BTM previous is also same, no change. All right. So the same as BTN next. BTN next is also same. Okay. Then BTN last, also the same. Then we have add record. Add record is also same, no change. Click BTN click is also no change. Yes. Then PTM commit, that is where you have one line of change. There is one line of code that is different. So for instance, put the code in the wrong place. Okay. That is here. Good. Then the next one I put here as a commit. Then this one is for the add the code in the wrong place. Okay, so you can see that this is the only issue that is here. And if we just change it to SQL command builder, you see that our problem will be solved. All right. And then here, because we are no more on form 1, we are now on SQL DB contact. So that's all what we need to do now. This one is going to SQL DB contact app. Okay, so this is basically where it all ends. Just this line of code. And this line of code is not because it is SQL. It is just because I'm now using a different window or a different form. The previous one was on form 1. This one is on SQL DB. Okay. So once we are done with that, then everything is just the same, except just some few codes, which I'm just taking you through. So the commit, you have one line of code different. So the rest of the code, if there's any difference, it's just one line of code. So we have the update. So you see that the save and the delete, you have just one line of code separating them. Every other thing is the same, specifically. So yes, this one, the first line of code would bring some differences. So this is for the save button. So the save button, so you will have SQL command builder. That's all. After that, everything stays the same. Okay. So the delete would also come with one line of code that needs to be changed. So if we get the delete, all you need to change is this one. So that's all. SQL command builder. And then the rest of the code stays the same. So if we go to cancel, cancel stays the same. The search also stays the same. So that's basically where we are. So once you go through the Excel, every other thing is the same throughout. Me close. So after this, if they run these programs, unless you are looking at the forms, you definitely will not even know the difference between these programs. They should all run just fine without any issues. Okay. You're telling me I'm wrong about that. End of statement expected. That's from where? That's the typo right there. Yes. Okay. So once you run it, you can see that this window here is back with us. So since we've tested that, let's quickly go to this side and see what we have done so far. So this is our access, our SQL database. Okay, so the last, good, the first, previous, so that side is good. So let's add a new record to the database and let's see how it works. First, let's just put some PPP. Let's just be sure that every field has some data. Then we commit successfully. So once we commit, let's go to CPPP. All right. So this works. Now let's try to update something here. So let's say Clementia 78 dash, so 1007. That's the person we want to update. Update successful. So let's close our application. Then let's rerun it and see if the 1007 person will be looking for. We'll find him there. No record on this person. All right. Oh my. I'm not I'm supposed to go to this side. All right, that's fine. So let's look for the 1007 from here. So we found him, and then we have all the data here. So the system works just like it should. So that is what we set out to do.